the lowest bidder. Our crews, your highway crews, spent 2 days volunteering, helping a church mission youth group that came around to help residents in the ovals and other places to clean up beautiful homes that you couldn't see with the brush that's been around the homes, because the people who lived there could not take care of it. They were elderly and they were disabled. And your highway crews helped clearing mountains of brush from over there. And I have news for some of us. None of these neighborhoods that we have in the township happens to be in Australia. And what I mean by that is, if we take care of a neighborhood, on the one hand, we're helping all of us. If we ignore one neighborhood, I'm hurting you and you and you and you. That's how neighborhoods go to heck in a handbasket. After we did that, the culvert in Dorchester, this is a photograph of what they were doing out there. And I'm sorry we lost your plan, and we're going to get you a new plan. This is a picture of a road where rain and rain events cut a steep ditch along the road, too deep to keep the road stable, meaning that a few more rains and the road will start falling in. So we spent the days about it, putting filter fabric and putting riprap to protect that road. And we ought to get many, many years for the fix that we did with this. And I know all of you. And I know some of you are firemen, some of you are military, some of you are engineers, some of you are inventors. And how many of you have heard of the motto or philosophy, let it run till it blows? That's the motto that the township highway workers were operating under. They were told, let it run till it blows. And guess what? Everything is blowing. And guess what? We're going to fix it, and we're going to get back in the saddle, and we're going to do things right. We thought that we were going to do something for the township residents for the holiday by getting our sweeper running and cleaning the streets. It makes people feel good. It's not fixing a bridge. And we got it running, and it broke down. And I asked one of the fellows that live in the township, one of the people that taught me to be a better person, Jim Bluejay. With his mechanical mind, he's going to volunteer his time, and he's going to come in one morning to listen to the different mechanics and listen to our crews, and he's going to know if a mechanic is blowing smoke at us. He's going to know it, and he's going to advise us whether we can get a few more years for the taxpayer out of the sweeper or not. The project on Smallings, there was a water line that we fixed, and the water company, 7 years ago when they installed the line, the seed didn't take root. There's no good cover on the hillside, and it looks horrible. There's a fellow by the name of Dan Allen who deserves a lot of credit, who works for the water company. Give credit when credit is due. I've asked him to talk to his people, and we will participate with a few $100s, no more, 15% with a cap of $500. For them to come back and reestablish the slope on the hillside so the neighborhood can start looking good again. And what's more, I've asked them that some of these fire hydrants that look like they belong on a junk heap, if they can refurbish those and paint the bottom, you can't paint the cap, paint the bottom side. And he expressed no objection to doing that. When they'll get to it, I'll stay in touch with him. Knollwood. I've driven past there probably a half a dozen times since we met. We sent the truck, Tim Algeyer, sent the truck out there to do something for me, to examine a culvert that's out there. We narrowed down the problem. I know one part of the solution for you, and we're going to implement that part of the solution. Outside of my jurisdiction, which is public right-of-way, here is my promise to you and to Dave. I've got my boots on, I will roll up my sleeves, and I will get in the mud with you guys to fix your property as a private citizen.
Thank you.
And that's my promise, and we're going to do it. The fellows from Warren Drive are not here today, but their project is on here. There's a fellow by name Gary Murray. He took interest in helping his own self to be able to help us. I didn't ask him to do it. He helped us narrow down the project. I just got the 8-minute signal, so out of respect for I'll shut this off quickly here. Operations, we have a lot of problems with equipment and machines that we need to take care of. It's not going to stop us from doing things. And the last item I have on here is the NPDES permit. It's an EPA permit. It's the nonsense that we have to comply with. You know, some of it is nonsense. Part of that is informing the public of things. And you have some handouts there that you can pick up. My last remark is, when we got rid of the British from the United States, I love the British, but when we got rid of them, we have no dukes, no duchess, no kings, no princes, no lords to lord over us. The highest title in the land is citizen, and that is the way it's going to be forever.
Sal?
Yes, sir.
To give you a little advice from where I work, I wouldn't bring nobody into this plant and fool around any tears of tools on the equipment.
I'm sorry, Tom, I didn't hear.
I wouldn't bring nobody in as a friend to work on it.
I agree with you.
Because I was called when I retired, because I was the only one, they since quit making the thing, electric tire, 113 foot. And they called me in, and they wouldn't let me touch a tool or saw, being I was there 13 years or whatever it was, because the insurance company wouldn't be covered. Now, I'm going to tell you, that building down there belongs to the township. It does not belong to the road commissioner. And I think all the factors in insurance should be covered before you bring anybody. And they wouldn't let me touch a tool, even though I was the only one that could do it. I had to tell them to do it. So I would check with the insurance before I let anybody mess with anything where they could get hurt or anything.
Thank you for that advice, Tom.
Okay, let's see. Next thing is the financial report. Dean's here. Does anybody have any questions or comments of Dean with respect to the financial report that you all should have gotten a copy of? If so, Dean's right there and he's ready to answer your questions. Does anybody have any questions?
Who's Dean with?
Shuffle Wall.
I have one question for Dean about the, do you know anything about the credit card? I'm using my own credit card to buy equipment for the highway department, and the town hasn't yet approved a request for a credit card, and I need to know, is it you or is it one of these guys that I need to talk with?
I would say the ultimate authority would be with the township board in issuing a card. If your predecessor had a card and didn't turn it in, I guess that would be another issue.
It was turned in.
Okay. So then the question would be getting a new one issued.
And who would be responsible for signing that and approving that?
Well, I would think ultimately the board would have to approve the people that have credit cards.
And usually, how long does it take for a credit card to be approved? We filled out the paperwork in May.
That I don't know. I guess it depends on how quickly they get.
That's adequate, Dean. I know the answer to that. I just wanted the people to know.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so,
Sal?
does anybody have any questions of Dean?
I know. Sal, I think in the words of Dean, you have the authority for the credit card for the highway department because you were a separate entity.
Thank
We
you, Les.
don't. So in the past, the highway commissioner has had one and he's usually got one worker down there, so if he's not around, I think it falls in your hands. You
I
can
think-
have the authority because your highway department is the one that's responsible for the bill.
You are correct. We were trying to be team players, and there was some BS obfuscation going on.
Unless as the volunteer, I will tell you, because I help sell out, the credit card, the way it's gonna work, they want him to personally guarantee it. And they still won't issue it until the board passes a resolution saying that it's okay. So it really does need to come from the board, just to
I don't think we have any
No,
comments.
we've never had any. Does anybody else have any questions of Dean with respect to the financial report?
Yeah, so Dean, in regards to, so we budget a certain amount of money, and in some years, in some categories, we go way over, sometimes double. Is it typical for your company to put comments like that in the report, that, where you look at the trends, not just the 1 year at a time, but maybe the trends for 2 or 3 years, to suggest that, we better budget for certain items?
Well, I've had management letter comments where if an entity is running a deficit for multiple years, I will have that as a management letter item. If they aren't doing a good job budgeting, I'll have that and let them know what funds, since there are multiple funds, you could be in all but one fund under budget and one fund over budget. So I will point that